Hey everyone, back with another tutorial. So this time, following up again from my last video on how to construct a mid bass in trance. Very specifically, maybe uplifting trance or tech trance, but most types of trance have a mid bass. Following on from the last video, which was a track in construction, this is a final finished track. It is called Summit. It is out on Regenerate Records if you would like to listen to it. And we also have a quick walkthrough of this track in our channel as well, where we break down all the elements. But this one, I will go into a bit more detail on the mid bass and how we made it for this track. So I'll just play the song from the first drop, and then we can go through how that is made. Okay, so that's the track. Now let's look at the mid bass with the kick and sub playing. Nice. So let's go through the individual layers and we'll break down the types of MIDIs we've used and the processing we've used, and just a little bit behind the thinking of each layer as well. So this mid bass has 4 layers, 1, 2, 3, and then we have another layer called low mid, which actually sits outside the main mid bass bus. There is a reason for that, which we will get into, and also then we've actually grouped all of the subs and mids together. So there's a kick and bass bus, mid bass bus, and all of them, including that low mid, is now grouped into a big bus. Purely for automation's sakes, but also just to control the volume. Not really that relevant, but yeah. So let's play the kick first and the sub bass so you can get an idea of how that sounds separately. Sub bass, kick and sub together, and just the mid bass by themselves. Okay. Let's go through each individual layer. The first layer, it is a pattern like this. Second, third octave, down, up, down, up, down, up, and just reverse, and just follows on from that really. Second layer. So this layer actually is an audio clip, and that came from Activa Trance Essentials. It's called Top Bassline 12. It was in G minor, which was what's in this track is in. So it was in the key of G. So yeah, didn't have to transpose it. So yeah, that's the second layer. Third layer. Now this is following the same pattern as the first layer. And finally, the low mid layer. That's just a straight runner. Now, if you notice with this layer, it's just a straight line because the notes have been programmed in the arpeggiator here. So pretty standard. The first note where the kick hits is taken away. The second note in the 16th is lower, and then these two are pretty much the same velocity. Okay, so let's go through and talk about this one by one. Now, the first thing we started off with, I guess, would be like this mid bass here. And I think it would probably say it's the key sort of sound you hear when you are listening to the mid bass. But of course, the other layers add the body to it. And I would say that this is the main layer, and these two are supporting layers to this layer. So let's play this. Very simply, it is a patch Inspire. And then we just have a basic EQ on it. So what I'll do is I'm just going to turn off all the processing. Get an idea. I'll leave that off. Yeah, you can leave that on. That's fine. And just show you what it sounds like. Just some basic EQ. Rolled off around 178 hertz. Let it breathe a bit. Roll off isn't steep or sharp, so you can let it breathe. Second layer. Now you notice how much quieter this layer is than the first one, and it's just to support that layer with a little bit of a different texture. If I take it away, it just loses a slight bit of thickness. In a lot of the cases, sometimes you don't actually need 4 big layers. You can just have 2 decent layers and 2 supporting layers, as we would call them, just to give it that little bit of an extra hit. Nice. Third layer, following the same pattern as the first layer. Now with this one, use a bit of a compressor there to keep the harmonics, bring out the harmonics and balance it a bit, make it a little bit lower, and cut out the highs on that one at about 4.7 kilohertz and rolled it up to 255 hertz on the low cut. If I take this off, very subtle, the compressor, but just balancing it out a little bit. Very, very subtle. So they basically make up these, the main body of the mid bass. And when I play these 3 back, you'll pretty much just hear the first layer. And these will give it a little bit more body, these 2 layers here. So let's play that back. Nice. Now, before I get into the processing on the bus, I will look at this layer as well. So I'm just going to turn off this and this. We can leave that on, just a bit of a low cut. We can turn it off quickly. Why not? That's been separately sidechained because it's not a part of the mid-bass bus, but let's play it. Now that sits between the sub-bass and the mid-bass to form And the reason we put it separate in this occasion was because it had a lot of nice low end. We didn't really want to take that away. Now, we've rolled this one off at 119 hertz. Straight runner with a lot of warmth at the bottom end around that 100 hertz region. What you'll find with mid basses is that a lot of them are heard around, 300, 400, 500, and they start rolling off around 1,000, 2,000 down kilohertz, as you can see here. They peak at about 1.4, 1.5 kilohertz. They start to make their way down around 2, 3 kilohertz and on. So, in that space where this one is rolled off at about 125, but there's just not enough low-end information without this. We introduced this separately in a bid to create that extra bit of warmth. And one of the things you can use, which I've explained in another video, is a saturator on your mids, on your mid basses. If you feel like they don't have enough harmonics, a saturator can be really powerful in bringing that out. So if I turn that on, yeah, so there you go. All right, pretty simple. And with this one at the bottom, we've also put a utility on. The reason for that is we've used the bass mono function, which allows us to go anything below this is basically in mono. So anything below 200 hertz, we've decided to keep it in mono because again, it's gelling that sub bass to the mid bass. Now let's look at the mid bass processing. The first thing you'll notice is this I'm going to turn on is this EQ. It's just to shape the mid bass really. Just give it that balance we want in conjunction with that low mid and the sub bass. Now, we've also used the saturator on this mid bass, but we've used something called the black box. Now, if you haven't heard of black box, I would highly recommend getting it. It's a very, very good saturator. You see saturation there. It's got some different nodes with pentatone and triode. Protoculture actually has a really good video on the black box on YouTube. Go check it out. It tells you what these mean and how they work. And yeah, very, very good at applying some nice warmth and really bringing out your mid basses and bringing them to life. So I'll turn this on and off and you will hear the difference. And it will be a significant difference. Yeah, really, really nice there. And look, in terms of volume, like it is good to use this to boost the volume up as well and adjust it. It doesn't have to be like, oh, some people say you got to turn on the saturator and then the output needs to be the same as the bass volume. Not necessarily. I just wanted to control the volume from within here. So that's what I've done. And that's where I like to set it. And then I'm fine tuning it through the volume knob here. Okay, so from there, we use this one. We use this EQ. From there now, we actually used a tool called the Track Spacer. Really, really good tool by Waves Factory. So let's have a look and see what Track Spacer actually does. Let's have a look and see what the Track Spacer does. So with Track Spacer, when you're playing in conjunction with the rest of the track, it's almost like a sidechain. And we've sidechained it to the acid bus. So as the acids play, it kind of makes space with the mid bass for that, so it doesn't sound too muddy. So let's give it a play. Yeah, so just gives it a little bit of space in conjunction with an acid bus, and we thought that was important in this track. And yeah, much better than using a conventional sidechain. Track Spacer is a really good tool. Definitely go check it out. And finally, on this particular one, we've then used a basic delay. Now that delay is not on the low mids because we don't want to delay that. Just having a delay on the actual bass frequencies. Nothing too low, nothing too high, but a 30% dry wet at a 3/16 ratio. So let's play that. And that's what it is. So that's how we've processed the mid bass. Really nice. If I play it with the kick and bass sub together now and all the other elements. And there you have it. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments. If you've made it this far, please give us a like and subscribe. That would be really awesome. Thank you for watching. And yeah, any other ideas you guys have, please share them on what videos you would like to see, and we will happily deliver. See you in the next one. Bye for now.